The other surgery, so I want to talk about the Barbie. The other surgery that I'm just going to say just chaps my ass is the extra stitch. Like the mom gives birth to her baby.
I'm like trying so hard not to be just pissed. I'm like, don't cuss. Don't cuss, Dr. Brighten.
You can cuss. You can cuss. You can cuss. We'll get a little E on the rating of the show, but feel free to cuss. But this is the one where I feel that it is so it's so seeped and marinated in toxicity and a lack of understanding of vaginal reparation and function. Please just talk about it, because it's the one I hate. I can't find any reason for this to exist, and yet it still does.
Yeah. Okay, it's called the husband stitch for people who don't know or haven't birthed a human. It's like ready for your new fear to be unlocked. So allegedly, the gynecologist, the obstetrician who delivers your baby, is supposed to be an expert in down there. And I will see this a lot where people are like, if you're having any questions, like the expert down there is your gynecologist. And it's like, you're going to need to go to a pelvic pain specialist. You're going to need to go to PT. You're going to need to go to other providers if this so-called expert took liberties with your body. So I say all of this because if at any point you ever have this gut check where you're like, I don't know about what my doctor's doing, just because you've been told they're the expert doesn't mean that you relinquish your power, your control, your bodily autonomy. You make sure that you stay in charge of your health. So with the husband stitch, it's after having an episiotomy, which there's no reason to have an episiotomy. It used to be much more commonly practiced, but then evidence came out and said, actually, this is not preventing tears and it's problematic. And tears actually heal better than cuts, as we know.
Right.
So with this, you might have a tear. Maybe your doctor did an episiotomy. And when they're stitching you back up, when they're suturing you, they will put an extra stitch in to try to make you tighter. This is where I'm like, how are you an expert of the vagina and the vulva, and you don't understand that tighter is not better? So the idea is very patriarchal, where they're like, well, this is for her husband. This is so things are nice for her husband. When in fact, it does nobody any service. And it's a huge disservice, I would say, is because a lot of the time you cannot have penetrative sex. Like, it is so painful. So then he's not even having sex. Like, you put an extra stitch in, the husband stitch for him, and now he's not even having sex. So it's this myth among doctors that if they stitch things up tighter, that a tighter vagina is somehow a better vagina and a more pleasurable vagina, but only to a penis. And it really is problematic. And it says so much about medicine that they are prioritizing a penis having pleasure over a woman being able to just have function and be pain-free.
I feel my blood boiling. It's like, what in the United Kingdom made you think that what in God's name or goddess's name made you think that this was going to help in any way? Like, women have been delivering babies longer than you've had a suture, and to your point, like being tight, it's a fundamental misunderstanding of the structure and function of the vagina. The vagina is a muscle, and like muscles are under the control of hormones. They're under the control, you can control how you can squeeze and how you can release, but giving you that little extra stitch, that husband stitch.
Well, this is not even the way it works.
It's not even the way it works. It's
it's like you're going to make the vulva a little bit tighter so that like at penetration, like as if that's like, I'm just like, just think it through.
I know.
You're having one point where you're like, oh, it's tighter. I talk about in the book the phenomenon of tenting, where the cervix actually moves back. So the uterus moves, the vaginal walls actually start to position in a way to be receptive to penetration. A tight vagina is a vagina that is scared. A tight vulva is a vulva that does not want you to enter, or is not feeling safe, or is not ready because it hasn't been adequately stimulated. There's not enough sexual stimuli, or something else is going on.
So that's on you.
The point is that a tight vagina is, not, or a vulva, like this, because in the case of vaginismus that I talk about in the book, like this is not an ideal situation. This is a situation where the body's actually saying, no, not now, not ready. And so it just is very perplexing. Like, why did this ever get started? And how does it still persist? And it does still persist because you see women on social media talking about giving birth recently, and the provider took liberties with their body, non-consensually stitched them up and took liberties with their body in the name of their husband's pleasure. And it was only after they had chronic pain and their husband wasn't able to have sex, there wasn't no penetrative sex happening, and they went to another provider that they figured out what happened. And that is super problematic. Your provider should never do anything to your body without discussing it with you first. And there are certainly medical procedures where, you're put under, you're not conscious, and the doctor has to do something to save your life. This is not it. This is not that situation. And furthermore, to not even tell you afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're left wondering, like, what the hell is wrong with me? Or feeling like your body has betrayed you, or you feel like you're broken, or maybe you decide not to have another child because you're like, I can't go through that again.
Yeah.
Right. So it has so many implications that it could go off in a myriad of tangents. But I just wanted to make sure that we brought that up in case there is somebody listening. For sure, there's going to be someone listening that's like, I never felt the same after I gave birth. Like, vaginas they are designed to deliver babies and then recover from them. But you're not going to recover next week. It's going to take some, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some time. And so I actually remember, thank God I had midwives. I have friends who are OBs, so no disrespect, but thank God I had midwives because they taught me all about, and they were lactation consultants again, thank God, because I walked in, I was like, don't worry, I got the football move. I know the things. And they're like, okay, you have no idea what you're doing. This is how you do it. You have to put, so thank God for my midwives. But, for someone who's listening, that's like, gosh, I just haven't felt the same. And yes, sex has been awful since I gave birth. Maybe this is the sign, or maybe this is the conversation that you needed to hear to maybe seek out a second opinion.